Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds, hang out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy Ted.
And today we're going to come up with some ideas for playing a Death Knight Light.
Jump down the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy, the newsletter, get weekly gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
As always, the GM911 will be in the description below. If you have your own GM911, you can send it to nerdarchy@gmail.com.
All right, so this came in from Jeffrey, and he wants to know, how do you make a animated armor out of the monster manual a player character? You know, he's got it labeled as an undead, so like you could technically go down that road. How would you handle this kind of thing?
I see three options. One is you literally just use Warforge and reskin it. The other is you take the Revenant class from Unearthed Arcana and you use that. Or you grab one of the variants of Vampire that you can find in the... I think it was done a couple times in Plane Shift. Mm-hmm. So they're all out there.
So there's definitely ways to get that undead feel if that's the aspect that you're looking for. I think it's an interesting way. He wants to know, like, you know, would you allow swapping of armor to armor? No, I don't think doing, you know, soul transfer or body transfer is something that PC should have unless they're high-level wizards that are doing that kind of thing with the class features. You know, it's like, well, you know, can you do animated leather armor and be a ranger or a rogue? You know, with that, would you allow, like, would you limit class options because, like, oh, well, you're just a suit of armor, you can only fight?
In that case, I would say no, because literally there really isn't any restrictions unless you're talking about druid, which they can't wear metal armor. So obviously that would be out. But other than that, everything else would be fair game. Now, could you be a rogue essentially in plate mail? Yes, you could. You have disadvantage on all your stealth checks.
You know, going with your animated armor, like, you know, if you don't have proficiency in the heavy, you know, you're not going to be getting access to all of your class abilities. So, like, I think that would have to be something to factor into it.
Well, that's why I would say it wouldn't be based off of that, and that's why I wouldn't use the animated armor anyway. I would just reskin one of the other options. You always have to ask yourself, what are you trying to do when you come up with an option that isn't already presented in the player's handbook or in one of the other books? Are you just trying to tell a cool story, or are you trying to game the system?
That was where I was gonna go as well. I always look at, you know, if you can't easily come up with, this is a race template, you know, can you pick a race that's already out there and reflavor it? Okay, well, these things are like elves, but they're not going to have this weapon training. So, you know, can I change the weapon sets out and make this other race? Sure, no problem. You know, oh, okay, well, I want to make this thing that's like, you know, half elves, but they've got, you know, purple skin and, you know, weird whatevers. You know, sure, you know, use that template. We might make some small changes to tweak it to the vision of what this race is. But yeah, overall, you can go down this road easily. If it's, oh, can I take this thing that's supposed to be powerful? Oh, let's give it all the undead immunities. You know, I don't need to sleep. I don't need to breathe. I don't need to eat. Well, now I've taken a lot of the challenges of the game out without any real serious limitations put on.
I might look at Warforge and Turtle and kind of combine some of the features from there, especially because the Warforge is pretty weak as it's presented in Unearthed Arcana. So, you know, I might change some of those features, maybe swap out their armor feature with the Turtle's armor and be like, all right, well, you actually are like a living suit of armor. This is how it works. And you can, you know, you don't get the Turtle's ability to suck into the shell, but you have the armor class the way they do. And you have all your other features from being a Warforged. From what I recall, there was nothing like crazy or ridiculous there. That would not make it a ridiculous character. I might even give you the extra +1 to one of your stats. So you have the +1, +2, like most do, and call it a day and be like, yeah, you know what? What happens is you reanimated this, and yes, you're kind of like undead. But if you die in this form, you're dead. You know, you've just been obliterated. So you might want to not do that.
I think that's a good, solid build, squishing Turtle and Warforge together. Turtle is official. Warforge is still
Unearthed Arcana.
Still Unearthed Arcana. So kind of mushy, squishy. You get the thing. I think that's the closest we're going to get as a race template for this. After that, no, I wouldn't put any restrictions on class. I wouldn't call them in any way, shape, or form undead. And I'd be scared to say you're like a construct. You're a construct for anything that would negatively affect you. It's not going to give you any further benefits beyond what's in the Warforged package.
And also too, like if you're saying your soul is inhabiting this body, right? You might not necessarily be undead or construct. You're like you might be somewhere in between, because there's definitely some gray areas if you look at the different monsters. Like golems or constructs, they're not undead, yet they're animated with the spirit of an elemental. They're infused with an elemental to make it happen. So at some point, like it becomes, there's gray areas. So why not? And if you're just trying to tell a cool story, it doesn't matter. Like. But when you get to this point and you're like, oh, that doesn't make sense. I can't possibly tell my cool story without the mechanical benefits too. Then it's like you're just yanking my chain and you're just trying to work the game aspect of it.
Yeah, I'm always going to side on the person who wants to tell the cool story. I've seen and played with players, and I've been the player who's wanted to game the system. So like. I've cared more in these recent years about coming up with cool characters and making cool stories. But if you're willing to work and accept, oh well, this is a less powerful race than some of the other things I could play, but it's a cool concept. Well, sign me up. I'm on board. If you're just like, I want to make the most powerful race that the DM will let me play.
I mean, I might do something like, hey, you could play a revenant that actually inhabits a suit of armor, and you can like change the armor you inhabit. So where like the revenant part is insubstantial, maybe. Not that you get that type or quality, like you need the armor to hold you together. So for all intents and purpose, that becomes your body. Like that might be a stretch that I might do as well. So, and what that does is that doesn't limit you one type of armor. You can upgrade as you can. But if you get destroyed in one set of armor, it doesn't mean you get to jump to another. It's like whatever. It's a process. It might take, maybe it's a ritual you do to transfer to one suit of an armor to another. But you can only do it while you have a suit of armor to kind of hold you together.
Yeah, because like if you would just allow the jumping,
it's called immortality. Essentially,
it's called immortality, and I would see a player who has thought this out. Okay, well, I'm going to buy 7 suits of plate mail, and my friends are going to carry them around. Oh, well, this one died. I mean, the next one.
Well, forget that. What about the player, right? And we've all had this jack off in our game. He goes, oh, well, I can transfer from one suit to another. You said so. So I'm going to transfer into the knight suit that he's wearing right now on the enemy side. You're going to get stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to work with a player if I feel like they're trying to further the story and tell a cool story.
Yeah, if they got a great idea, then let's put our heads together. Let's see what we can do to make this awesome. But if you're just trying to, one up the game,
find a different game to do it in. What do you guys think? Would you allow it in your game, or is this player and GM off the rocker? We got a place where you can tell us all about it and give us your ideas and suggestions as well. That's down in the comments below. While you're at it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Check us out over on nerdarchy.com.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.